This is episode number 19, 5 Steps to Achieve Focus. Did you know that the average human has an 8-second attention span, which is less than that of a goldfish? That number has shrunk over the years due to our digital connectedness and the fact that the brain is always seeking out what's new and what's next. Now, I know you guys hear it every time you hear the podcast intro and stuff like that, but I have a background in marketing, and this fact kind of hit home with me because in a lot of my work when it comes to marketing to somebody, I do a lot of marketing through social media, and I've learned that I didn't know that it was 8 seconds at the time, but you have a very short period of time to grab somebody's attention right off the bat, or else that they're gone forever. And so for a business, if you're trying to capture somebody's attention, you want to do it as quickly as possible in the shortest amount of time, because if you don't have their attention, you might as well consider that person, that client, customer gone, because they're going to go on to somebody else because their attention isn't with you. But I didn't bring all of this up to talk about business or to talk about marketing or anything like that. I brought it up because I wanted to shed some light on some skills that I've learned over the years to hone in on my ability to focus and kind of become disconnected from or unplugged or whatever from technology and from the minutia of social media and constantly just being bombarded and blasted with all this content. So I wanted to tell you guys a little bit of story about when I was a kid. So when I was a kid, I had a really tough time focusing in school. I had horrible grades. None of my teachers wanted me in their class. And I mean, none of my teachers, I know in elementary school, it's usually one teacher, sometimes two. But growing up from kindergarten, till 6th, 7th, 8th grade, none of my teachers wanted me in their class. Because I was the class clown. I was the kid that was always running around doing stuff, getting into trouble. But it was hard because, my parents were always being dragged into parent-teacher conferences to talk about how I was being such a bad student and that I had the worst time focusing on my schoolwork. My grades were plummeting. It was I could only imagine being in my parents' shoes where they see their son who, they love and care about so much is, getting horrible grades in school and isn't paying attention. And they're wondering, is something wrong with my son? Why isn't he performing like the other kids? Why is he so far behind or unable to do the things that other kids are doing? So my parents were frustrated with me for this because it's not like they were pissed off or mad at me, but they were frustrated because they thought that there had to be a way for them to fix it. They didn't think that anything was wrong. I should say they knew that nothing was wrong, but what ended up happening is they brought me to a doctor. They did some quote-unquote tests on me, and ultimately ended up diagnosing me with ADHD, which isn't a big deal, but at the time, there was cases just popping up left and right all over. Kids were like, oh, your child has ADHD, and it was the end of the world. I remember this situation in particular, but we were in the doctor's office, and the doctor was trying to describe it. He put it in layman's terms, but, he was trying to describe it to my parents, and what he said that there's a chemical imbalance in my brain that caused me to lose focus and have a very short attention span, like a very short attention span. So, he described it as like, if you could imagine like a tube running through your brain and you have all these chemicals running through, they're running through 10 times faster than the average human being, and that's not normal. So, that of course scared the crap out of my mom and out of my dad, and they thought that this was the end of the world. I don't want to say they thought it was the end of the world, but they definitely thought like, oh my gosh, my son is broken. How do we fix this? So, they asked the doctor and they go forward, and the doctor ends up prescribing me with a drug called Ritalin. So this is a drug that is supposed to calm the brain and allow for these supposed chemicals to flow correctly through my mind. And the funny thing about it is the doctor put it very mildly. He made it seem like it was no big deal. Like, this will fix him right up. Go ahead and give this kid, this pill 4 times a day, every day for the rest of his life, and this will fix him. And, hoping that this was the cure, my mom said, okay, we'll give it a shot, and we'll make it happen. So, I would say probably about a year and a half, maybe 2 years went by of me taking Ritalin every single day, hoping that something would happen. And there was one day in particular, it was a weekend, and I was at home with my mom. It was obviously I wasn't in school or anything, but we were hanging out. My mom was watching this show where it was actually a particular episode of this show about ADHD and how it has seemed to exploded over the last couple of years. And in this TV show, one of the doctors was talking about the drugs that are prescribed to control it and how over time the body will become immune to the effects of it. And one of the drugs in particular was Ritalin, the one that I was on. So the doctor said that there's only a few of them, but over time your body, you basically need 2, 3, 4 times, depending on how long you've been on it, the dose for your body to become to still feel the effects of the drug, because your body's building up a tolerance to it. So after my mom heard this, my mom looked over at me and asked me if this is what I was feeling. Not if, I was feeling, oh yeah, Mom, I'm actually feeling it, like less and less. She just asked me if I felt it as much. Like, hey, have you been noticing a difference in school? Like, are you still able to focus? Are you still able to do this or that? And, I was honest with her. I mean, she was concerned that she's been allowing for me to take these pills without them really doing anything. I mean, she was legitimately like almost in tears because I've been pumping my son full of all these pills and they haven't been doing anything. Like, and I had to reassure my mom that everything was okay. I felt fine. But I did tell my mom that I wasn't noticing any changes and that I feel like I could control my mind and the chemicals within it better than any drug could. For me at a young age, that was a pretty bold statement for me to make to my mom. Is Mom, I got it. I can control myself. And it was hard for her to believe me because of my previous track record of not being able to control myself in school and everything. But my mom took what I said to heart, and she inevitably took me off the pills. But I ended up learning how to control my mind. I had to be able to take, because it is true, I do have ADHD and I'm what they call a classic or a chronic overthinker, where my mind is racing and going all over the place just because that's just what it does. And I have to learn, and well, I don't say have to, I've learned, but I had to learn, and I still have to do it every single day, where I have to scale back my thoughts, really kind of hone in on what it is that I need my mind to think about, and I've had to develop this process, and that's kind of what I wanted to share. Is even if you don't have ADHD or ADD or anything like that, where you guys are, feeling like you're all over the place, but you just have a hard time focusing. I think that if somebody with ADHD can control their mind and get to the point where they could focus on anything, anybody can do it. And so I came up with these steps, and I call them the 5 steps to the ultimate focus. And so I wanted to share these with you, and these are the tricks that I learned. So the first trick that I have here is this. It's prepare your brain. This one seems simple, and it is. So I don't want it to seem like I'm going to, it's very simple. You have to prepare your brain for focus. So the best way to start your mind on a path to more focus is to prepare it. Before a task, take a minute or two to just take a few deep breaths, just to and allow for your mind to relax. You want to clear your mind, and you want to just kind of take your, let your mind sort of let go of everything that you're thinking about and run all over the place with. And so this will allow for your mind to become clear. And when your mind is clear, you can focus all of your attention on whatever task is at hand. So the second one, first I'll go back to the first one. The first one could also be sort of linked to meditation, and I'm not trying to get all, pushing meditation. Meditation is very important, and it's not like the typical, with your fingers pinched together and knees crossed out on the sunset on a grassy hill. But meditation is huge, and that's part of it, is preparing your brain, and it's sort of just taking the deep breaths and allowing your mind to clear itself. And that's a form of meditation. So, the second step is understand where your focus needs to be. And so a good way to look at it is that if you know what it is that you want to focus on, you know what else to kind of push out of your mind, so that you're not just like, well, I need to focus on this and this and this, and then you end up just back where you started. But focus involves knowing what is worthy of distraction. So you also need to know what it is that will distract you. So if you're a person that easily gets distracted by your cell phone, a person that easily gets distracted by the TV, that easily gets distracted by a video game or whatever, then you need to learn, I mean, you know what it is that distracts you, but you need to know that those are the things that distract you, and you need to separate yourself from those when you need time to focus. But knowing what easily distracts you allows for you to combat it with clearing your mind of it. So if you let's just take the video game example, and let's just say that you're a kid or an adult that's big into gaming, and you make it a habit of every day when I get home at 6:30, I get on my Xbox and I play Call of Duty for 2 hours. And then I go to bed or whatever it is, And so if you are aware of it, and you make note of it, and you want to set time aside for focusing, let's just say you want to take an hour out of your gaming, then you need to acknowledge it and take that hour away and clear your mind of the gaming and put the gaming to the side and step away from it so you're not focused on the gaming. But this also implies knowing what it is that you want to apply your focus towards and concentrating your thoughts towards that thing. So on the other side of the spectrum, let's just say, like for me, when I went to go write my book, I had plenty of distractions, my phone, TV, gaming, all that stuff being part of it. But I had to take away all of those things for an allotted amount of time, whether it be 20 minutes in a day, an hour in a day. I kind of was all over the place when I did it, but it was like, today I'm going to dedicate 20 minutes to writing my book. I would have to take my phone and the game and all that stuff, and I'd put it away. I wouldn't keep it on me, and I would kind of isolate myself in the room and do my thing. So this kind of leads us to our third step, which is unplug yourself for 30 minutes. And the reason I say 30 minutes is because that's a very easy, a simple amount of time to disconnect yourself from all technology, from the world, whatever metaphor you want to put to unplug. But I mean, if you were to do it from a literal sense of technology, if you were to unplug yourself for 30 minutes, this will take a good amount of time for you to practice and exercise your focusing. So if you take 30 minutes out of your day and just eliminate all distractions, put your phone up, turn the TV off, and just relax, this will allow for you to develop habit. If you eliminate all possible distractions for 30 minutes and just concentrate in clearing your mind of the clutter, this will create a decent habit, and eventually the 30-minute time frame will go away, and it could go to 45 minutes for the next day, or an hour, or whatever it ends up being. But the purpose of the 30 minutes is because it's baby steps. If you take the first step of clearing your mind and and you do the 30 minutes and you let's just say that you go and you sit in your room and you just relax. You lay in your bed and, you kick your feet up and you just take the deep breath practice and you just, for 30 minutes, relax, clear your mind. Then what that'll do is, you'll feel amazing because you won't have your mind just ping-ponging everywhere, left and right and up and down and everything, but you'll kind of get into what it's supposed to feel like to focus. And so you could even if you wanted to, and this is what I had to do over time because I find myself having it very difficult for me to sit still. So what I used to do is I used to take that 30 minutes and, I'd take maybe 5 minutes of the 30 minutes and I would do my deep breathing, calm down, relax my mind. And then I would take that 30 minutes or the remaining 25 and attack work, things that I wanted to get done that I've been putting off because I was distracted and was unable to focus. You'd be amazed on how much you can get done when you're not distracted by incoming phone calls and emails and text messages and all that other minutia. If you were to just take the time, disconnect yourself from the world and focus on what it is that you want to accomplish, and allow your mind to focus on what it is that you want to accomplish, then I mean, you could do so much just in 30 minutes. So imagine if you built the habit of 30 minutes and then you got to the point where you could do, 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours of just straight disconnected from the world and focusing on you. You could accomplish anything. And that's no joke, no BS. If you're not being constantly distracted, you can focus on yourself 100%. And that leads us to point number 4, which is exercise your mind often. Your mind is a muscle, and just like every other muscle in your body, it needs to be exercised. Practice clearing your mind and honing in your focusing abilities. So if you were to take, let's just say that you have your brain, a cartoon brain here, and over here is your little focus muscle. and you're trying to focus, and right now it might be itty bitty little muscle, it could be big muscle, whatever, but you have this itty bitty little muscle and you're trying to focus. As you work it out over time, it's going to get bigger and stronger, and you're going to be able to focus so much more. But if you, the more you practice and flex your focus muscles, the easier it will be over time. So kind of like our 30-minute example, that 30 minutes is just to develop habit. And eventually it'll just become second nature. You won't even have to worry about taking the time out of your day to focus, because it'll become muscle memory. You would just know what to do without thinking about it, which is similar to how I've been. I mean, my ADHD example was 20 years ago, probably more, but it was 20 years ago. And now I've developed, after years and years and years of practice, I don't even have to think about it. It's just second nature. I can focus, I can take my mind off of things, and I can focus and make things happen. But if you make your focus stronger, it'll become your second nature, and you won't even have to think about doing it. So just keep that in the back of your mind, or at the forefront of your mind, however you want to look at it, but just keep that in mind no matter what you're doing or what you're trying to attack in life. And that brings us to point number 5, which is kind of wrapping everything together. If you had, your 4 steps, and then you were to put like a big bow around it, that would be step number 5, and that would be to take action. Which might sound really simple, whatever, but focus means nothing if you don't act on it. So you could be focusing, like, for example, I might be focusing on the fact that I wanted to write my book, and man, I really, I'm brainstorming, I'm focusing on my book, I really want to make this happen, but if I don't put the pen to paper and start writing down my book, nothing would have happened. And so if you actually start taking the time and putting action to the focus, you could attack so much more, you could accomplish so much more. I mean, you could accomplish anything because you're actually acting on it. So whether it be, if it's something small or something big, if you're just focusing on, like, I just want to focus on this book right now, it's a really good book, I just want to focus on reading it, then if you focus that, you obviously have to actually read the book. That's the action to follow the focus. So that's I would say that's kind of, like I said, the bow that goes around all of it, because if you have all these other steps and then you could take action to kind of follow up with all of that, you could accomplish whatever it is that you want. So that's all I have for you guys. Those are the 5 steps that I have to achieving the ultimate focus. I want you guys to go out there and exercise those every single day, especially if you're like me and you have a really hard time focusing. You don't have to have ADHD or ADD or any of those other things that doctors are saying that you have, because you have to remember that years ago, when doctors didn't know that this stuff existed, people made it through life just fine. People became successful. People had accomplished things because they had to learn to control it on their own. So just because a doctor says that you have something doesn't mean that it's necessarily true and that a drug is required to control it. It could be true, like, we do know for sure that I have ADHD. However, the drug isn't required for me to control it. I have to learn how to control it because I am in control of my mind. I am in control of my thoughts and what it is that I do every day. And so if you can learn to exercise those muscles and hone it in, you guys could accomplish anything. Don't be distracted by what it is that other people are telling you that you need. But that's all I have for you guys today. If you guys could, please share this with your friends, your family. If you know of somebody that's having a hard time focusing, somebody that could really use these steps, these tips, these tricks to really hone in on their focusing abilities and accomplish more, share it out. Give them the link. If you're watching on YouTube, share it to their social media account. If you're listening on your podcast app on your phone or on the computer, send the link to somebody. Email it to someone, text it to them, something, so that way people can learn the skills to focus, especially if you feel like they're struggling to get things done. And lastly, guys, I want to let you know on my website, www.spencerkeife.com, I do have services on there. So if you guys are looking to maximize your life every single day, if you guys are looking to get some one-on-one time on how to achieve your focusing abilities, if you're looking to overcome your procrastination, overcome your fear, how to even just get started on what it is that you want to do every single day, go to my website, spencerkeife.com. You'll see a tab up at the top that says services, or I have it on there as coaching. But if you go on there as coaching, click on it, you'll see the services that I offer. They're small monthly fees, and you guys get some one-on-one time with me to really attack your life and make the most out of it every single day. So please go do that now, guys. Again, spencerkeife.com, and go and check out my services. Again, it's an affordable monthly fee for anybody out there. I'm not trying to take any money out of anybody's pockets without putting some value to it. So everything that I have a couple different programs there. There's one for somebody that's just trying to get into it, an introductory thing, or somebody that just wants to dive right in. So if you're just trying to get your feet wet, or you want to just totally immerse yourself in the coaching and maximizing your life, go out and check out that website. I promise you guys will not be disappointed. So anyways, guys, go out there, shift gears, and live the most positive, happy, and abundant life you can. Focus on what it is that you want by using these 5 simple steps, and you guys will accomplish whatever you want. Thank you guys for your time. Have yourselves a great day.